hive cluster is under attack.
For the swarm.
Hey there, StarCraft fans, Falcon Paladin coming at you with yet another edition of the StarCraft. It's going to be JAEDONG and Speed today. Now, I did cast this game already on the live stream last Thursday, which if you're not part of the live streams, come say hi. Stop by, enjoy some StarCraft on a live stream Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on this channel, in the evenings in North America on Thursday and Friday, and then the mornings on Saturday and Sunday. Try to get everybody involved that way, but we're on Knockout, it's Speed, and it's JAEDONG. You knew that already by watching, well, reading the title, not watching it, man. So top left, JAEDONG, bottom right, Speed. We know the drill here. I'm going to tell you in the title that it is HBQ's build, right? Where he gets irradiates very, very quickly and defends against the early Mutalisk attack with irradiate and missile turrets, and that's it. Maybe a couple of Marines, right? Just because you have to make Marines in case it's like just some speedlings coming across the map here, right? So it's a couple of Marines, it's a rush to irradiate, and with turrets. No Goliaths, no Valkyries, that's it. And you build up against the side of the map. That is also important in defending against Mutalisk harassment. If you've been watching TvZ in the ASL recently, you know that the meta has been changing. Terrans build their stuff against those side here so that Mutalisks cannot just find like a racks out here that they can just burn down by mutastacking, right? It's over here and there are turrets covering it, and there are Marines covering it, or Goliaths, or whatever the case may be. So it's a lot harder to pick off buildings if all of the buildings are against the side of the wall here. Well, the side of the map. So, should be good stuff. Let's see what we got going here. Hatch first from the JAEDONG at about 11 supply. Good. Overlord scouting down the wrong way, but it's cross spawn, and nobody ever scouts cross spawn with an Overlord. That's dumb. Gas coming in. See, look. The early gas is a tell that it's not just going to be a 2-Rax Academy opening, which is very strong. Artosis, when casting ASL 22 qualifiers last week, said that a 2-Rax Academy opening is unbreakable by Zerg. Zerg does not have a build that can just beat it. You're walled up tight, you got a lot of firepower with you, you got the medics, you got the fire bats, you can deal with anything that's going to come at you early. Doesn't mean you're going to win the game, it just means you can't die early, right? It's a very, very, very safe build. It allows you to get on the map as well. So that's why we see so many 2-Rax Academy openings, is because it's that good. But every once in a while, we get a factory at 230, which is exactly what Speed is going for here. So one guy on the gas now, not fully saturating it, right? We don't need a ton of gas right now. We're going to make a bunch of SCVs. We're going to expand because guess what we just saw? The hatch first from JAEDONG, which means we can save up the minerals to go for an expansion here a little bit sooner than otherwise if it was an overpool or a 4-pool or anything crazy like that, which isn't, you know, really a build these days, but who knows? There's no reason you legally can't go for a 4-pool as a Zerg. So, drone comes up, can't scout. Ooh, what does he see? He does see the factory. Okay, so he knows it's a factory opening. Cool. This factory was down a little bit. The drone wouldn't... He would not have been able to see it, which might have been really nice, actually, for Speed here. But he knows there's not an expansion, so is going to be ready for something anyway, right? Not going to get a third base right now. Just go ahead. First gas going to lair. First 100 gas to lair. Second 100 gas to metabolic boost. Making a vulture here because you got a factory. You might as well build a vulture. And then, behold, the starport as fast as you can, because obviously that's what you're doing. There's the expansion we were talking about. Are we saturating the gas now? Yes, we are fully saturating the gas now. So, we got to save up the money for a science facility and for an irradiate upgrade and for science vessels. That's a lot of gas, right? That's a ton of gas, and he's just rushing to tier 3. And it's kind of like what Protoss does, right? We're on 2 bases. They get up to Psystorm, which is their tier 3 tech. And usually this is not something necessarily that Terran does. It is not something that Zerg does very much either. So we got our safety sunken here. Vulture's like, all right, well, I've been shut out. We've seen a lot of games recently where it is a safety sunken, but it's not a vulture. Zergs are just doing it in case it is, because it's been so common these days that a vulture will come across the map and just ruin them. So a safety sunken is almost a requirement, unless you're 100% absolutely sure it's 2-Rax instead of the factory, right? Which, you know, in this case, you can scout it. And he did scout it was the factory, so we got this. It wasn't a safety sunken in that situation. It was a required sunken that he knew he needed. And there's the science facility, man. Sub 5 minute tier 3 construction. This is like a Zerg player getting into Hive sub 5 minutes, which they could do, right? If you go into Lair and instead of making a Spire, you make a Queen's Nest and then go into Hive, you can start your tier 3 sub 5 minutes as well. It's just not very good because, you know, you need more bases to handle what's going on here with the Terran. There's the science vessel. The radiate time here is the Spire is not done, but going to be done here soon. So I think the next thing we're going to see on this production tab is going to be a radiate, and there it is. Cool. So 527. So if you ever want to do this build on the ladder, you're like, I'm so tired of dying to Mutalisks. What can I do to stop it? This is pretty good. I've seen this a couple times. Again, HBQ came up with this build, or at least he popularized it at the higher levels of StarCraft. It might have been somebody lower level who actually developed it, and then he brought it to the attention of the players at this level, and now Speed's doing it too. So if you're just like, I want a build that really shuts down mutas, this is not a bad one to like really just try to emulate. Engineering's Bay is done, sub 6 minutes, turrets are already here, right? Turrets coming up. You do need the turrets. Obviously, just Irradiate is not going to win unless your enemy doesn't split at all. And you know what? If you're playing on the ladder, at like C rank or D rank or something, maybe the mutas don't split. And maybe you do kill all the mutas with a single Irradiate. That'd be pretty cool. Although at that level, maybe they're not stacking the Mutalisks anyway, but by golly, here they are. And Irradiate is done, but we don't have enough energy for an Irradiate yet. We do now. 75, and bam, there's the Irradiate. And look, JAEDONG's like, wait, what? The split was late because he did not expect there to be an Irradiate at 6:30. He's like, wait, what the? He's got to retreat with 4 pretty injured Mutalisks here. Dude. See, that's why it's good. Third base down the left side here from JAEDONG later than normal, just because he was worried about what was happening here. I think he could have taken that earlier. But he really... Oh, Vulture does kill a drone. I think he was trying to transfer some drones down there just by walking them. But, dude, come on. There's a Mutalisk out here. He's going to die to a Mutalisk. There's a Vulture out here. The Mutas are going to kill him. Don't you worry about that, lad. Getting a Carapace upgrade here, too. Interesting. It doesn't help you against a Radiate. These Marines do not have upgrades, but look at this. We're getting a 2nd and a 3rd racks. So you don't have to mech from here. You don't have to go into Goliaths from this position. In fact, I've seen HBQ do this more often, where you do have the Irradiate, but then you go 2nd and 3rd racks. You get the Academy. There it is. You get the Stim. You get the Medics. You get the +1 attack, and then you move into SK Terran, which, again, you don't have to stick to, but that's the transition. This is what a lot of Zerg players are doing, is trying to scout out what the Terran are up to, because the Terran are changing what they're doing a lot. They are tech switching a lot these days. Opening mech does not mean you're sticking with mech. Opening bio does not mean you're sticking with Marines and Firebats. Kind of crazy. Hive on the way, sub 8 minutes. Like I said, not too crazy to get it in this matchup this fast. So Scourge out, because how do you deal with Science Vessels? Well, Scourge are pretty good. They're really fast. And they hit Science Vessels like trucks, we know. Metabolic Boost finishes up here at 8 minutes. And a Ground Carapace upgrade on the way, too. As a Hydro Den starts, 6 more mutas in production. Where's my Hydro Den? There it is. And kind of building a little bit further out, right? Just because he knows the mutas don't want to dive in here because they're going to catch and irradiate. This one Mutalisk is like, yeah, sure, I'll go in there. I'm injured anyway. Who cares if I die? And Speed's on the push out. He's going to go after this 3rd base. I don't think that's a sunken yet, folks. No, it's not. It's a creep colony. Sunken, bam, immediately starts, but it's not ready yet. Charging in is Speed. Focusing down the sunken would be a good idea here. 1 ling's not enough, but oh, a bunch of mutas jumping on these guys from the north. They are trying to stay alive. The sunken actually survives and is getting more than 1 hit off. He's getting 5. Wow, 6 hits off on that sunken. I thought that sunken was going to die. But no, the Mutalisks were a bigger problem there. The sunken ends up living with 5 hit points and probably helped with at least 7 or 8 kills there. Dude, that was huge. Those mutas flying in from the top side with that Carapace upgrade. That was a massively important hold there from JAEDONG. He loses that battle. He loses this 30, probably dies. How many TvZs have we seen in our lives where the 3rd base dies for the Zerg and then it's over for him? A lot of times. So, Defiler Mound, 3rd base alive, getting a 4th base now. If that 3rd base died, he's not getting a 4th base right now. he's getting a third base right now. And speed is, okay, lost everything. Didn't get a lot done with that attack. Okay, fine. What are we doing here? We're making the vultures. We're sending them out. Right? We're running out with the vultures. We don't have the spider mine upgrade. Are we going to get it is the question. And that is something, yes, it's in the production tab. So it is going to be spider mines. A replacement sunk in here. Once again, this is knockout. This is low ground. It kind of sort of looks like low ground. Kind of hard to tell in a 2D, well, 2.5D game like this, right? Isometric 2.5D. If something is lower ground versus high ground in this situation, but it is low ground. Mutas are hunting for the vultures, which do have speed. Another move out here with the science vessels. Consumes on the way, and it's a vehicle weapons upgrade. And no further upgrades for the Marines, guys. Look at this. +1 attack for the Marines. No +2, no +1 armor. Nice irradiate, split, better, not stacked exactly, so easier to split. But this is a tell. This is a tell that we're not going to see a ton of Marines. This attack does make it feel like it's SK Terran, right? A lower level Zerg could be like, ah, this is 100% going to be Marines. Let's get a lot of lurkers out. Right. Oh, one sunken die. Second sunken. Dude, MVP sunken of the day here. These are cracklings. Science vessel does irradiate a defiler. Gets a dark swarm up anyway. The cracklings inside the orange cloud. Nicely done by JAEDONG. Staying inside there. And Scourge fall back. They can't get a connection. Irradiated Muta dies anyway. So check this out. Check this out. Bam. Factory. Factory. See? See? It's a factory tech switch at 11 minutes. So it's a rush to science vessels with vultures, right? The vultures are out and running about. Then we made a bunch of Marines with 3 factories. And then we swapped back over to mech, getting vehicle attack upgrade, getting siege mode, right? Getting spider mines, making 3 factories here at 11 minutes. And hoping that JAEDONG is like, ah, this is Marines. I need a lot of lurkers, right? Need a lot of lurkers, need a bunch of Scourge for the science vessels. And instead, it's mech. It's a bunch of tanks. It's Goliaths. It's vultures, which guess what? Lurkers aren't good against all that. Scourge aren't good against all of that. I mean, yes, there are going to be science vessels to kill anyway. Scourge are never useless late game or mid game against a Terran. But you know what I mean. They're kind of a less important deal unless the enemy is making a whole bunch of queens, in which case Irradiate can be very good. More Dark Swarms at the natural base here for JAEDONG. Speed is expanding to this 3 o'clock and top right as well. So he's kind of double expanding here. I like that while putting pressure up. He doesn't have any fire bats, though, because he's not making any more bio. I guess he is making a couple more Marines as his mech gets online here. But, yeah, if you don't have any fire bats, what are you doing? You're just threatening. You're threatening this. You're forcing Dark Swarms to pop up, and then you're falling back. There's nothing else you're doing here. There are no drop ships, right? We've seen drops be really successful on the channel, especially over the last week or so. From the Terran perspective, a little bit lazy. You can't just let the science vessels lead the pack like that when there are Scourge on the map. So losing 1, acceptable loss. Irradiating 1 of the stacked lurkers. Yeah, 3 stacked lurkers under an overlord. I think he got it, though, even though I guess it's a little bit, I don't know, a little bit outside. Kindness plating's on the way. Metasynaptic node here, too. Once again, lurkers. Enough lurkers to handle the Marines, right? And then JAEDONG is moving into ultras. Oh, this top right base is in a lot of trouble. This command center is done. It can lift off. That's a silver lining here, is that this base can lift off. It's not just going to die. If this was a hatchery or a nexus, it would just die to these cracklings. But as it stands, it can stay alive for a minute. There are lings running across the map. This is some old school stuff here, man. This is JAEDONG reaching back into his bag of tricks from 2005, 2006, 20 years ago, folks. Right? We're talking about sending lings across the map to clear out spider mines, sending ultras across the map to handle vultures and smaller groups of tanks. This is how Zerg handled mech a lot of the time in the olden times. It's 142 to 127 supply. Science vessel dies, doesn't even try to run. 1 link could maybe ruin this entire base, but nope. Vulture's saving it, coming off screen there, out of nowhere. Anabolic synthesis on the way. Charon boost coming in from the Terran here too. He's lifting off his racks, floating them across the map very majestically. Barracks on the wind for scouting purposes, if nothing else. And again, sending lings across the map to clear out spider mines. We've seen this before. Vulture's trying to harass and kill stuff. Cracklings, man, taking down Marines, even with medic support here. These guys are dematrixed. Were they worried about, I guess they're worried about Scourge. I'd be worried about Scourge if I was a science vessel pilot. So yeah, I'd dematrix my buddy all the time, and they dematrix me. Vultures are like, aha, I found your base. Oh, there's not a base here either. Well, this base is alive. This base is relanded. It looks like, I don't know. Vultures probably cleared it out. And a drop over here at the 3 o'clock. Lurker, Defiler, Crackling. Okay, Science Vessel's on the queue, though. Ready to go. Irradiating the Lurker. D-Matrix does get tossed up. Cracklings can engage, but not with the Siege Tank firing. I'm sorry. Nope. Yeah, there's nothing inside the Dark Storm now. Tanks would obliterate anything in there anyway. This one Lurker dies to irradiate. No! More 2 Science Vessels die. Great control there by JAEDONG. Holy crap. Vultures are like, okay. This base is safe. Great. These Lings are like, don't look over here. 170 supply here for speed. This is great. Great build. Great transitions. He's held on to his bases. This got delayed a little bit, but JAEDONG doesn't have a 5th base yet. These Vultures on the left side are putting in a ton of work too. Look at this map control. Look at what Speed has. He has map control with Spider Mines, with Vultures. The Ultras are out, though, and hey, you want to run into my Spider Mine, says Speed? You are welcome to do so, my best friend, JAEDONG. I mean, the Vultures are going to die if they stand and fight. They don't have to stand and fight. Oh, this was a drop. Oh, this is a drop top right, but the Spider Mines wiped out the Lings. The Vultures cleared out what was left. The Defiler got killed before the Dark... Well, as the Dark Swarm came up, I guess. Another drop into the main base, though. Marines getting shots off Irradiate turrets. Trying to shut this thing down. 2 Ultras and Cracklings and Lurkers inside your main. Any Defilers in this drop? I don't see any Wiggly Boys yet. Doesn't mean there aren't any going after this upgrade. This +2 attack upgrade on the Siege Tanks. Here is JAEDONG. Yeah, that's a +2. That's a big one for the tanks, man. And Dark Swarm does get popped up. There's a Wiggly Boy here. But he stopped attacking the armory because he's worried about the tanks responding. That's a really smart move. He's going after supply depots instead. The upgrade is at 80 hit points. The armory does finish the +2 because the armory dies. Dude, like 2 seconds later, it goes down. So this looks like it's going to be cleaned up, right? But a lot of science vessels responding. No, a lot of supply depots dying. Surprising number of supply depots going down here. That armory did die. For further upgrades, he needs to replace it, but it's better than restarting that upgrade when it was 99% done. And yeah, Ultralisks inside Dark Swarm are not invincible, plus Dark Swarm doesn't last forever, but look at this. Sending Overlords across the map, sending Lings across the map, sending Lings across the map, sending Scourge across the map. JAEDONG is putting all of the pressure right now on Speed. Speed is defending at the moment. He had to bring a lot of stuff back home to deal with this drop, and he did. He's dealt with it, but he's down to 140 supply. He is supply blocked with all the supply depots that die down here in the bottom right. This is an absolute problem for Speed. Now, he does have 5 bases of mech. This one's not gas, but it's okay, but look at this. It's 5 bases for the Zerg. On even base count, you're not going to have a good time as a Zerg player against a meching Terran, but guess what? The tank count isn't high. There are 3 tanks in this base. Drops are available. What do I always say against mech? Queens are very good. Queen Hydra's a good strategy, but also dropping, getting past these tanks. Unsieged tanks are firing. They're so glad they have their +2 here. These Ultras are a lot of trouble, but with a little bit of micro, should be able to handle them. More tanks coming in. And then checking to make sure what's going on there inside that top right base. No! The Ultras are free inside the 3 o'clock. Tanks were not enough to handle it, thank you very much. Not nearly enough. Not with the chitinous plating. Not with, there you go, that armor, that carapace. He's dropping into the top right now, too. He says, you only have like 3 or 4 tanks up here. These turrets, can they kill Overlords in time? They've got a carapace upgrade. That helps a little bit. He does unload the Ultras and the Lings in the top right base. There's 1 tank back there against the wall. Just kind of trying to deal with all of this. Good luck. There's way too much Zerg here. Lifting, causing problems. What are we sending Ultras back home for? Was there a drop in this position? There must have been, but I don't see any damage. It's 57 drones to 64 SCVs, but this base took some hits. This base, top right, is a little bit problematic right now and occupied by the Zerg forces. Still supply blocked. Actually, supply blocked now is the Zerg player because of the drop. JAEDONG is, yeah, just kind of mashing yourself into a bunch of mech like this is tough. Yeah. Ow. Ow. I mean, it's sure. Like a 3-kill Ultralisk is fine. Not really paying for himself, though. Coming up. No! Why did you send the SCVs back up here, Speed? He's too distracted, and Ultralisk makes it into the 3 o'clock, too. Why would he bring SCVs back up here? He doesn't need the money. Oh, and then more stuff comes along the south side. SCVs getting targeted. Yeah, this is just a situation where there are just not enough tanks. And JAEDONG was everywhere at once, and Speed taps out, and JAEDONG gets the win in 20 minutes and 9 seconds. Woof. Okay, that was an incredible game from JAEDONG. He is looking like he is ready and raring for ASL 22, man. He is one of the better TvZ players in the world. Speed's one of the better TvZ players, too. But today, somebody had to win, and it was the Dong making it happen. Great drop down here, bottom right. Drop in the top right, too, was really effective. Getting Ultras into this base somehow without dropping them, just walking them across the map here. It's hard to cover everything as a meching Terran, especially. And JAEDONG was just everywhere. This went from it was blue on the entire map to really nothing but orange on the map, right? I guess that's because Speed left, but the remaining blue is still here, just not as much of the map as Terran fans would hope. So yeah, one of my commentators actually said one of the problems here with this build that HBQ came up with is that you don't have the Marine count to really control the map in the early stages of TvZ, which is something you'll want. And that's true, right? The Marine count was not hefty enough. It was not enough to bust this space. But I still feel like if that that Sunken dies, and maybe the Marines aren't going to win, they're not going to kill the hatchery, but maybe they focus fire a couple of these drones. The Mutas can't kill them quite fast enough, but the Sunken was so important there, and I can't believe it's still alive. It's already almost regenerated all of its HP from being down to 5 HP earlier, which is just like, okay, that's as close to death as you can possibly get. So, good game, man. I mean, we're talking about a ridiculous showing there from JAEDONG. He's going to be scary in ASL 22. This is a potential ASL 22 matchup, folks. We could see it in the knockout round. Could be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm rooting for it. I think it'd be really fun. We'll see if Speed tries a different build. Maybe one that would be maybe a better chance of success here against JAEDONG. But great game by him, dude. 156,000 points, 132,000 points in favor of JAEDONG. The outproduction by the Zerg, the outkill by the Terran. Usually enough here, but too many bases were dead. Too many SCVs were getting annihilated. And then 29-1 buildings raised number is a big one. The outspend, too. About 10,500 resources in only 20 minutes as JAEDONG's macro was through the roof. All right, good. Wonderful stuff. That's going to be it from me. This has been Falcon Paladin coming at you with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered. Go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe if you like what you saw, what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky, all at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching, and you take care of yourself.